Hi there, this is Jason, and today I'm going to be discussing the kernel to this entire framework, which is called the Xebium project. This was actually the first, I guess you could say, the first real Fitness Selenium integration I've ever done, and that I've ever worked with before framework-wise. I've worked with this since about October 2012. And initially, when I took over my new job at Sotera, one of the first things I did was I began to explore possible frameworks. So when you go to adopt something, you don't just randomly go into a project and start throwing your weight around and expecting people to just magically adopt everything, but rather you go in with a method. At the time, the project I was supporting did not have any firm-footed automation, nor did they have any real type of dedicated type of tool that they were using, or they were just looking for something to kind of handle web automation testing. Which I chose Selenium because of the fact that it's now starting to become a W3, or it's becoming a World Wide Web Consortium certified tool. It's supported by all the major browsers out there, Mozilla, Chrome. A lot of these different companies will actually contribute to the WebDriver projects. So you're getting direct support and webhooks directly from the developers of all the various browsers. So anyways, the three frameworks that really stood out in my mind that I had to choose from were SelinS, Fitnium, and Xebium. And after reviewing all three, after this 2-week spike where I just kind of started downloading and playing around, I discovered this little beauty, which is called Xebium. And the importance of Xebium is the fact that, unlike other all-Selenium fitness integrations, this one had support for the built-in Selenium IDE Firefox add-on. So now I could go ahead and cater to people with a high learning curve versus a low learning curve. I could cater to really anybody, and I could work with anybody to develop automation tests. Given that you do have to train them in a little bit of how to use the IDE, or how to generate a Selenium test in general. But once you have that firm footing, it provides you the basis of really creating tests on the fly very easily. So a little bit of background, Firefox supports Selenium IDE, which is a test recorder, and it allows you to play back your Selenium scripts, kind of firm up, I guess you could say, what your test is going to be. So the biggest example that I usually give is the one from the Software Developer Journal article I read. We'll go ahead and just kind of play around a little bit. Xebium has a built-in add-on that you can go ahead and look up. It's called the Xebium Formatter. And you just install it once you already have Selenium IDE installed. So it's right here, and it's available for download. It is an essential ingredient to making Selenium tests on the fly. So I figured let's go ahead and get started by just doing a simple Google search. What you'll realize is that a lot of the commands in the Selenium IDE are your basic command structures, but what you need to know more than anything else are the target concepts. So either you're going to use XPath or CSS selectors to go ahead and select your targets. So let's go ahead and give this a quick rundown. I started up my Selenium IDE, and the record button's already pressed in. So let's go ahead and just begin typing away and see what happens. So I'm going to search for the word cheese. I'm going to click this search button. And so I get www.cheese.com. And as we can see here, it's already started to record my actions. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this recorder, and now I'm going to go ahead and start firming up my test. Let me start by going back to google.com, and this right here is captured on a tab, so the results for you are going to vary a little bit. So I'm going to click open, and the way I do that is to go ahead and execute a step in your IDE. You select the step, you press the X key, or else you could just press the individual button. So I went ahead and pressed it, and it executed, and it successfully passed because it's green. So the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to type the word cheese inside of this object right here, the search text box, which is identified by the ID tag GBQFQ. And the way we discover that is you can select, the new Selenium IDE has a select button now, enabling you to mouse over the individual components on a site. So I can go ahead and click here, And I can click this Find button now, and you can see it's going ahead and highlighting the value for me. So let's go ahead and try this again now. Select this, and I'm going to type in the word cheese, and then I'm going to go ahead and click this button right here, which is identified by the ID tag GBQFB. Now, I have Firebug here, which enables me to go ahead and view it within the context of the HTML page. So we can go ahead and view here what it's actually picking up on. I'll right-click on the button and click Inspect Element with Firebug. And instantly here you can go ahead and see that we have selected the button with the ID tag attribute of GBQFB. And there you have it. So we've recorded our test. Now we have to begin to firm it up, otherwise it's going to run too fast, and this could result in failures and discrepancies. So let's go ahead and begin to firm up our test a little bit here. I'm going to click the Open button, which does, the Open command is nothing more than it opens the window to this location. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to type in the word cheese, but before this executes, I want to go ahead and verify that the object appears on the page. So Selenium chain guns your test in a very quick succession. So to slow it down a little bit, we're going to start adding a couple of these commands. I mainly use wait for visible, which will wait until the object is loaded on the page. And I'm going to go ahead and wait until this text box appears. So I'm going to type in ID equals GBQFQ. Once I go ahead and see that it's visible, I'm going to go ahead and type in the word cheese. Now you're going to notice the search button appears, and we're going to be clicking that. So before we go any faster, we're going to go ahead and slow this down again with another wait for visible. And now what you're beginning to see is a pattern emerge for your test case. It is self-checking in the sense that your test case should run unhindered by itself, and it should execute through. So it's pretty much self-checking. If your test case doesn't get all the way to the end, then that means you're having issues, and that just pretty much verifies that your test is not solid. So we're firming it up right here and right now. And the last step I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and wait for text present. The command is deprecated, so maybe we can go ahead and search for something else. You can do a verify. The verify command actually will go ahead and it'll do what's called a soft fail. So that means if the step fails, your test will continue on. The prefix assert will automatically fail your test and stop it dead in its tracks once it detects a failure. So if we said assert text present, we're going to automatically say, hey, this is done, and the test is over with. So we're going to assert the text, in this case, is present on the page, or we can do it by the object. So I'm a big believer in using the objects more than anything else, because text, what happens is when the text comes back to you in the GET call, it's just automatically going to search that HTML document, and it doesn't take into account loading. So I'm going to wait for something to appear on the page. In this case, if I type in the word cheese and click search, the word cheese.com appears here, and we're going to get this nice little link along with this www.cheese.com. So let's go ahead and scout this image by right-clicking and clicking on Inspect Element with Firebug. And you can go ahead and see here the word cheese appears between these B tags. So I'm going to do an XPath search on the text value here, cheese, between these B tags. And you do that by in XPath //B. And you can do this one of two ways. You can do dot equals, but I prefer to use contains, text, and I'm going to type in the word cheese here. So this will only run if it detects the word cheese between these tags. Oh, there we go. See if we can find it, and it's detecting the object. As you can go ahead and see here, it's highlighting it for the page if you're watching carefully at the top left of my screen. And so now we have a firm test here. Let's go ahead and run this test case now. It's going to just go very quickly. And we firmed it up. Everything's passing, everything's green, so that's exactly what we're looking for here. The next step is we're going to go ahead and export this test case now directly with the Xebium formatter into a text file. In this case, I'm going to do it on my desktop. So let's go to our desktop here. And I'm going to save this as cheesesearch.txt. Going ahead and saving this right now to my desktop, cheesetext.txt. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new test page under my Oasis examples. So I'm going to call this Google Cheese Search. We're going to call this a test page. And I know for a fact that I have to go ahead and import certain things on this test page, which is already handled at the suite level, if you remember from previous examples, directly under here. So in this package, it's com.xebia.incubator.xebium, and we're going to be using the Selenium driver fixture here. So for our test, all I have to do is copy and paste my test directly inside of the test window here, and it's automatically done. I save it, and it's automatically set to run on Firefox. You can change this up however you'd like. My recommendation is to get the Selenium standalone server and start it up inside of a formatter, kind of like Chrome driver, or connect it to the hub, and then pass in a JSON array, which you can read about in my Software Developer Journal article, to do distributed testing using the framework. As you can see here, our test is fully formatted. There's no real need to do anything else. And we can just go ahead and click test and see what it does. Okay, so the import statements went through. We know the test is up. And I can go ahead and close out my IDE here. I'm finished with it. If all went according to plan now, we should go ahead and see a window appear here. The WebDriver is active, and it's opening the site, and it's typing in, it's waiting for that, it's typing the word cheese, clicking the search button, and waiting for cheese.com to appear. And we have successfully created a Selenium test in rapid succession using the Xebium formatter. Once again, this was chosen because of the fact of just due to its simplicity and its ease of use for any skill set. So we can go ahead and create tests in rapid succession with the IDE, and if the tester prefers not to use the IDE, they can go ahead and manually type it in using this format: ensure do on with. So ensure do the command on the target with the value. So if you're doing a type command, you're going to go ahead and use this ending right here, with, and you're going to type in your value. If not, you're just going to do an ensure do, and then you're going to specify your command and the target that you're targeting. Simple as pie and easy as cake. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I hope this aids you in your creation of a Selenium fitness integration.